Watching this video, you help poor animals. We'll transfer $1,000 to the rescuer from this video, just after it gets 1 million views. All the details at the end of the video. Unfortunately, a sick and old animal becomes a burden for some. So what happened with this dog? She was found far from the city. There was only a road and fields nearby. The dog was groomed and not skinny, which meant that it was specially brought here. The old dog also had a noticeable health problem, a tumor on her stomach. Rescuers from DAR Animal Rescue immediately took her to the doctor. The doctor, having done all the necessary actions with the patient, made a decision about the operation. After the successful operation, the old woman stayed in rehabilitation for almost a month. She was constantly visited by rescuers and looked forward to her discharge. After being discharged, they began to look for a new home for the elderly lady. But the complex of senile diseases delayed this process a little. However, a caring home was found for the old woman. She was adopted by an elderly couple who can give her not only food and water, but also true love. Sartmitra Akash Jadhav's team came to rescue a cobra from a well in a settlement in the Ahmednagar district. Taking everything they needed for the rescue operation, they headed to the well where a snake wriggled in panic. The man was tied with ropes, and he went down into the depths of the well, trying to catch the snake with a net and a hook. The rescuer kicked off the walls and jumped in the direction of the snake, but the cobra did not float to meet him. However, even in spite of this, he managed to catch her with the hook. The brave man deftly grabbed her by the tail and carefully placed the frightened cobra into the landing net. They were lifted to the top. The rescuer showed everyone the cobra, and then he and the team went to release this and another snake into their native habitat. This time, the rescue team got a call that a bleeding donkey is standing on a busy highway. The poor animal had a terrible wound, and he was so tired and suffering from pain that he couldn't even resist being carried away. The rescuers brought him to the hospital where the doctors took care of him and his awful wound. 10 days later, his wound was much better, and the donkey was on the mend. Overall, the doctors had to dress his wound every morning for 54 days. Now Hobnob, as people called the donkey, lives happily among other donkeys in the rescue center. I think you've noticed that many wild animals get stuck in fences. Often they get in such dramatic situations in the search of food or water. The same thing happened to this small cutie. When the rescuer arrived to the place of the incident, the poor animal had been there for a rather long time. The people decided to push the deer behind with the help of aluminum sheets, and luckily they managed to do that.
Come on, fella. All right, I know, my boy. I know.
The deer couldn't stand for some time, as it had been staying motionless for a while. But after a while, it could. In spite of the fact that the animal had some wounds, the rescuers decided to let it go. And I hope the deer got a chance to live a happy life. It's not clear how this little fellow got to the top of the dome home, which is located on one of the islands of Florida. But he was lucky that he was noticed in such an unusual place, and the police were able to save the poor kid from the trap.
Oh, sweet boy.
Now I think this raccoon will be more careful in choosing places for walking. This poor mother was separated from her 4 puppies, but only in order to save them. She gave birth in the tunnel, and people noticed her and the puppies. They were able to catch the kids, but not the mother. People turned to the Takis Shelter for help, and the rescuer immediately left for the puppies. He couldn't think of anything else. All thoughts were only about the dog, which is worried about the loss of its children. Having arrived at the place, the man was able to lure the dog out of the tunnel with food. She was afraid, but hungry. The man managed to put a leash on the frightened dog and then took her to the puppies. There are many cases when poor animals are found in abandoned houses, and sometimes terrible things happen to them. Little puppies were left in the house. When people came in, they saw some of them running and hiding, but suddenly they heard a whine somewhere under the floor in the toilet. They had to crash almost all floor plates to pull the little creatures out. There were other dangerous and hard to get places in the house, where people found injured and scared to death puppies. It was very hard work. But the rescuers were really satisfied as they managed to save several lives. This poor bird had to sit for 4 whole days in a chimney without food or water until rescuers from Wildlife Aid came for her. The man used the camera to find exactly where the bird was hiding. She sat on a small ledge inside the chimney, but it was quite easy to catch her anyways. The poor fellow was so exhausted that he did not have the strength to resist. The baby was taken to the vet center to feed and drink. The bird was too thin and was taken to the doctor. He injected the bird with the liquid before giving it a special rehydration solution. After that, the bird was sent to the hospital for recovery and maturation. As soon as the baby recovered and matured, he was released back into nature. The rescuers found this poodle in the desert. It was a badly injured, unhappy dog with one paw. The poor puppy nervously moved behind and didn't let people come closer. It took the rescuers a lot of time to convince the poodle that they wouldn't do him any harm. The dog was terribly scared, and he was fiercely struggling, biting Loretta, one of the rescuers, several times. For his martial spirit, the dog was named Washington and got a big cheeseburger. And it was a crucial moment. The dog became calm and let them take him to the hospital. There, both Washington and Loretta got medical help. Though Washington's paw was badly injured, doctors could save it, making a prosthesis for him. Washington got a very rare chance to survive and was very grateful to his rescuers. This big, unfortunate dog turned to a woman for help, who found rescuers for him. The woman, seeing this dog in serious condition, decided to call DAR Animal Rescue, which literally saved his life. The woman, along with the lifeguard, put the poor man in a carrier and carried him to the car. For this, it was necessary to make a lot of effort, because as it turned out during the examination with the doctor, the dog weighs as much as 29 kilograms. The veterinarian sedated the frightened dog to carry out all the necessary medical procedures. X-rays showed a severe fracture of the leg. The poor man was clearly run over by a car. It was also necessary to rid the guy of the parasites. After waiting for all the test results, the doctor prescribed an operation. Everything went well. The dog only needed the rest he got. The dog was named Frank, and now he feels much better. Young animals can get hurt easily because of their natural curiosity. This elk calf was unlucky to get trapped in razor wire. This little thing was awfully scared, and he was constantly whining. Forest officers felt very sorry for him, and they were trying to help the poor boy as fast as possible. The calf couldn't believe that he is safe and could go anywhere. He was standing with his ears down for some time, and then went away, limping slightly. It's impossible to say if he could survive after this trouble or not, but let's hope for the best. This owl was accidentally found in the forest. The bird could not fly. It had an injured wing. She badly needed human help. The bird belongs to the great gray owl species and is an excellent hunter, but not with a broken wing. The owl was taken out of the forest for treatment. She's now undergoing rehabilitation and is looking forward to returning to the local forest. A rather unusual student was found in the schoolyard. It was a microbat, but the baby needed help, and this help is not related to school lessons. Fortunately, a rescuer from Megabattie came to see him. She wrapped him in a blanket, injected him with liquid, and gave him glucose to recuperate. The kid was under the supervision of specialists for 2 more weeks, and then was safely released into the wild. Mike organized whale watching tours, and during one such tour, he was informed of a whale stuck off the coast of California. Mike immediately contacted the Marine Mammal Center for help. A whole team of divers arrived on a female whale. She was trapped in a nylon net, and it took the rescuers 5 hours to save her. Time passed, and the whale could have inflicted serious injuries on itself, but she behaved calmly, as if she knew they were trying to help her. The whale got tangled too much, but luckily there was a part of her head and a breathing hole above the water. In the beginning, divers had little hope of saving the animal, but they succeeded, all thanks to the patience and understanding of the whale. She watched the rescuers carefully as they cut the nets from her mouth, and when she was released, she began to dance in circles and swam to each of her saviors to rub in gratitude. This behavior was more like a happy dog than a whale. Definitely, she was very glad to be saved. Apparently, this cattle egret bird accidentally wandered into the yard and had to be returned to the wild. To do this, the owner of the house called a specialist from the Wild Animal and Reptile Rescue Foundation. It was not difficult for the rescuer to catch the bird. He literally just took her in his arms and took her to a more suitable place for her. Thank you for watching this video and helping poor animals doing this. Choose the rescuer you want to help most and write the name of the organization in the comments below. On reaching 1 million views on the video in less than 3 months, we'll count all the comments and transfer $1,000 to the rescuer you'll choose. That's all for now. See ya!